like Jack Crowley's performance. So as you say, right at the first 5 minutes down in South Africa, you give away such a cheap try, and then his kick to the corner within 2 minutes of that, like it felt like such an important moment where this game can get away from you quite quickly. They build a bit of confidence that at every moment during that game that they needed him to step up. Like, this felt individually for him like a day that we might be talking about for many years to come.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was a huge moment to get them immediately back into. You kick that one dead, it's a negative on top of a negative, and it builds the opposition up, whereas the flip side, a lot of 10s would kick to the 22. Okay, certainty, let's try and build some phases. To kick it to 5-6 metres out from the halfway line on not the most incredible of angles was a really amazing kick. And then they got a penalty and then went to the line out again. They're backing themselves rather than kicking their 3-pointers. They're going back a bit like Irish teams in general are now, of going to the corner and backing their driving maul to get over. Stats will show that it's over the course of a season you will benefit more. Most good mauling teams will benefit more from going to the corner, and it's not just Irish teams. A lot of sides now realise you got to score tries to win games.
But still,
but Crowley's ability to be able to go and do that and have the bravery and then the technique to kick it perfectly down the line. But it was the other parts of his game as well. I think he's very, very clear about squaring up around the corner, a point that I've laboured for a long time, something that we know the Irish captain does extremely well, and we haven't been sure about everybody else that's come in behind that. But for the first time, that really feels as though, okay, we've got someone that's very clear. And you know what? He doesn't do it very fast, but it doesn't matter. And in fact, I've watched a good bit of Owen Farrell over the last while. It's quite similar, where sometimes it almost looks a little bit laboured, but because it's so late square up, as a defender, you can't help but respect that. And because both of those players have an ability to accelerate through a gap as well. And Marcus Smith does it in a different way, but he also, very late square, and it's almost that jerking motion catches the eye of the defender going, oh God, it's in here. This is where I need to be. This is my zone. And just sticks them down for a second and then has an ability to pick or pull the pass. So I think that part of his game has definitely come on leaps and bounds over the course of the year. And he does it better than Healy, and I think he does it better than Ross Byrne now from what I've seen of late. So there's the big question now. What's the elevation of Jack Crowley's international career on the back of this performance, and Andy Farrell watching this and Ross Byrne watching this, because it did feel as though it was a big moment in time for him that he needed to step up to the plate, and he did.
Everything you hear about Crowley is that he's an obsessive around the game. You almost wouldn't be surprised if it came out that he had studied Sexton in that way, he'd studied Farrell in that way, and sort of knew that this is what he needed to bring into his game.
Yeah, listen, I don't know, I wasn't aware that he was that big a student of it, but I think by the development of his game, like as a young guy in camp, whether you're in the 23 or not, you're soaking, you're a sponge, you're taking in everything you possibly can about different players' levels of preparation, the small little nuances around how they behave, what they do to get the extra 1 and 2% out of themselves, and those aspects are the making and breaking of opportunities as an outside half, trying to play that type of game plan. So it doesn't surprise me that he would watch an awful lot of tape and understand what it is that tends to get defenders to sit down a little bit more, and that ability to break against the grain. You can drift across a little bit, but if you square up in a dramatic way and still are able to pull the pass, you're going to have players sit down and respect that. And if they don't, then you got to back yourself and take the gap as well. So there was just lots of times that it felt as though he didn't have to be running a million miles an hour, and it's a difficult thing to do, is to pull a pass when you're going very hard. This is the easier way to build your repertoire in that regard, is to go across a little bit, jam back in, square up, and then still pick the pass, because that's the most important part, the pass aspect of making sure it's on the money. So if he can then develop it where he can be accelerating, going at a bit more speed, and everyone gets their timing off from thereafter, well, it's all the better. It's going to mean that more defenders are stuck on the inside, and then it's about picking the right pass.
I'm glad we can get into a Crowley v Byrne debate for the next 3-4 months.
Yeah, well, it's natural, right? Isn't it? And you know, if Munster had lost to Leinster in the semi-final and you know, Leinster had managed to get it done against La Rochelle, we'd be having a very different conversation. But this is the conversation because of the results that have happened. And that's ultimately what it's about. It's big moments. Because I think anyone that has played at a high level, we know that you know, when the going's good, it's easy to shine. It's actually in adversity where you really get to understand the true character of individuals, of who wants to be a leader, who wants to take the chance, who wants to put themselves at risk. He did it in the Leinster game. He got into the pocket and he kicked the drop goal, and he turned up for big moments in this final as well, in a very difficult place to go and play. Not many teams win in Cape Town against the current holders. Packed stadium, but possibly with that video of them ringing in their ears around celebrating that they're having a home final. Didn't work out great for them, but you know,
what Crowley was doing there then was that one of the main reasons that both Fekitoa and Frisch both seem to have one of their best jerseys in a Munster, one of their best performances in a Munster jersey.
Yeah, I think that definitely helped. I've really grown to quite like Frisch. I understand his game. He understands space quite a lot, and even though he pushes the pass a bit too much and sometimes throws on contact a couple of times, and he did for the offload, he did it another time and it was a forward pass. I don't mind that much, because he's a little bit of a risk taker, but the outcome to a lot of that stuff, when you get good at it and you understand the balance of when to throw the pass, and that will create an awful lot of chances for those outside. He carries and straightens and holds possession to check defenders and throws the pass. He understands the timing of it, not overplaying his hand. So, as much as I'm contradicting myself, sometimes he throws on contact. A lot of the time he gets it right, where he'll run to a defender that's trying to defend, you know, laterally to the touchline, and he'll run to the inside shoulder and he'll commit them, and as soon as he sees the shoulders turn in, he gives the pass. So I think there's a lot to like about him, and he stepped in. You know, the forgotten man is Chris Farrell. Obviously, has been set aside for the time being, until his case is heard, and so I think he's come in and done a pretty good job over the course of the season, not without its imperfections, but I think he's really grown into it, and I quite like his style about why he's doing what he's doing in the creation of space for those outside him.
So that is just one part of our brilliant rugby conversation, and there is loads more to it. To hear it in full, the only place to get it is on the OTB Rugby feed. Get on now to the Go Loud app, download it, subscribe to OTB Rugby, and you will get every single one of our podcasts straight to your phone or wherever you listen in.